Has Whoopi officially lost it? I'll let you be the judge because the clip you're about to watch of the show's reaction to Joe Rogan mentioning on how nice they were to Trump before he ran for president is the most incredible example of collective amnesia of what really happened. But first, take a look on the on-air meltdown from Whoopi before I tell you the whole backstory.
I have not really had much to say until he started running for president. Mm-hmm. Then I could say everything I needed to say. My face said everything.
That was a good side eye.
Didn't you say you disliked him from even before that when you first had an encounter with him?
Well, he's been in New York forever. He's a New York person and been a New York character. But that being a character on television is a lot different than being the president of the United States, because what you can't do, and what they did for years, which is why people got up and said, you can't talk to me like this anymore. You can't talk about me like this anymore. And people said, oh, you're woke. We have never been asleep. No one's ever let us sleep. Because we've had to keep, because we've had to keep reminding people that women don't want to be spoken down to. Gay folks don't want to be spoken down to. Straight folks don't want to be spoken to. People don't want to be spoken down to. They don't want to be made fun of. Get a better gig. If you're a comic, be funnier. Find a different way than to come after people because of their heritage, which they are born into. It is not a choice. You are who you are. Right. And here you're going to make all kind of fun. People said no more. We're tired of that. That's why people are saying, right there, you heard the women say, listen, what we heard at that rally should be enough to shake folks awake, because he's talking about you.
All of you. Yeah. All of you.
He's talking about you. It's us. He's not going to say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
Have you seen Whoopi Goldberg so fired up before? Well, I think if you understand the sensitive nerve that Joe Rogan hurt not just of The View, but also the mainstream media at large, you'll understand why. The View has somehow been running for nearly 3 decades now, and many times that someone they really dislike has been on the show, the panel's absolutely devolved into a screaming match. Think back to the 2019 interview with Donald Trump Jr. and you'll know what I'm talking about. But then you've got The View back in 2011 standing up and being all smiles for the man they would spend the next decade making into a demon. By the way, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can enjoy content like this. But just to give you the full perspective, you need to see what Joe Rogan officially said on the podcast with Trump to understand what got The View so fired up in the first place.
It was the episode of you when you were on The View. And I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president. Right. And you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump. That's right. Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you. They were all talking about how you're, you might be conservative in your financial positions, but you're very liberal socially. They were talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience was cheering. And then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you. Yeah. But there's probably no one in history that I've ever seen that's been attacked the way you've been attacked, and the way they've done it so coordinated and systematically. When you see those same people in the past, very favorable to you, like Oprah, when you were on Oprah's show, she was encouraging you.
And you know what's interesting? This is a common theme with a lot of the mainstream legacy media if you follow its evolution in relation to Donald Trump, because remember, Trump has been a registered Democrat for most of his life despite not being outwardly political. His name in the New York real estate scene, as well as the liberal and flashy kind of lifestyle he lived, had made him a pretty attractive potential talking head for the liberal left that they really wanted on their side. And the segment you saw from The View from back nearly 14 years ago is also around the time that Donald Trump started to espouse a more Republican stance on politics and social issues. I think it's worth taking a look at how the segment was introduced on The View and notice the difference in how Donald Trump is welcome versus how most other guests are invited to the panel and just able to sit down at the table.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. but does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump. We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
We love it. Interesting look, isn't it? Donald Trump has been on the show a couple of times before this as well, probably in the early 2000s, but there doesn't seem to be a public record of it, and yet this one clip is also enough to contrast to show you and how the legacy media alters its coverage depending on who it sees as the enemy or friend. There is an undeniable left-wing bent to the mainstream media today, and perhaps even more so 14 years ago, when the new technologies and alternative media weren't as widespread. That means there was a hold on narratives by these media executives that they'd love to get back because nobody really believes the MSM anymore. That's actually part of the reason why platforms like The View and Joe Rogan have a history of friction between them as well. And while The View becomes more and more of a liberal echo chamber and a relic of the past, Joe's becoming even more important than mainstream media interviews for political candidates today. None of that is an accident because the incentive structures for legacy media have shifted to the point that they are not concerned about retaining any relevance at all in the public eye. And of course, while it fades, they'll try to stick to any little controversy or sensationalism to get attention, even if that means betraying the values they say they stood for. Joe Rogan himself has been pretty critical of The View for that reason.
If you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it, and it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there. Sometimes comics do that.
Yeah, and
fun.
The other question is then, is that representative of a big constituency? I think probably yes.
Well, a lot of
MSNBC viewers are probably also thinking,
I don't even think the MSNBC viewers. I think they're a little bit more sophisticated than that.
Yeah.
This is like low information, blue no matter who, like older housewives who are mad at the world. That's the appeal that Whoopi Goldberg has.
I think I know why that is. Joe Rogan is just as much of a disruptive force in the media today as Donald Trump is in politics, and both of them in their own way are constantly rubbing up against an establishment order that is trying to demonize and isolate them. Let me know in the comments if you agree and share this video across your socials, because this needs to be recorded as part of a transitional period in history for what the legacy media did as it takes its last breaths.